So, good evening. I'm Karen Smith. I've been asked to chair this meeting this evening. It's now just gone 7:30. I'd like to welcome you all to this virtual meeting of Hounslow's licensing panel. I'd like to welcome the members of the panel who are sitting this evening, as well as the council officers who will be assisting members throughout the meeting. In addition, I would like to welcome members of the public who are watching this meeting at home. As you all may know, councils were required by law to revert to physical meetings from the 7th of May, but following the specific government announcement regarding the current situation in Hounslow, it's been decided licensing panel hearings will be held virtually until further notice. The way this meeting will work will be that as chair, I'll be running the meeting and inviting people to speak. As it's very easy for people to speak over each other in meetings like this, I ask members or officers to speak in turn as appropriate at the appropriate stage. This will mean that there should normally be no need for people to interrupt or ask to speak. However, I will make sure that members have ample opportunity to ask questions and make comments on the reports and applications before them. The exception to this arrangement will be the legal committee or licensing officers who may turn on their microphone to alert me to any legal governance or planning issue that needs addressing. Although I would expect this to be rare. In addition, we have producer of the meeting from our ICT department who may also contact me if necessary, but hopefully that won't be necessary. It'll go well. The etiquette for members of the panel and for officers who are expecting to speak will be to mute your microphone until you're asked to speak. This means that only one person will be speaking at a time and there will be no background noise, making it easier for us all to follow the meeting, and also for those watching at home. I will also ask members always to say who they are when they make a contribution to speak, and to speak slowly and clearly for the same reason. We have 3 members of the licensing committee with us this evening to form this licensing panel, and it's we who will make the decisions. Officers of the council will provide assistance and advice as required, but the final decision will be made by the members. Okay, so I'll now like to introduce each of the members here tonight one by one. And I'll start. I'm Karen Smith. I'm a member of the licensing committee and I'm a councillor for Hounslow South. So, Richard?
Yeah, I'm Councillor Richard Foote. I'm the ward member for Hamworth Ward and I'm chair of the licensing committee.
And Tony, please.
I'm Tony Lukey. I'm councillor for Rosslyn Spring Grove Ward, member of the licensing committee, and happy to be here tonight.
Lovely. Okay, I'd also like to introduce the officers, or the officers to introduce themselves. Nicola, please.
Hi there, I'm Nicola Harbour and I'm the licensing authority officer.
Thank you. And Canis, please. Is Canis here? Oh, she was here earlier, I think. Okay. We also have officers acting a producing role for the technical side of the meeting, but as they're not expected to be involved in the discussions of the meeting, I will thank them for their help, but not ask them to introduce themselves. So, thank you. Ah, there's Canis. Canis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I'm ever so sorry. I was on mute and I was trying to say, please unmute me. I'm Canis Ali, and I will be advising the panel this evening. And apologies for what happened just now.
Thank you. Okay. Members of the public are reminded that the agenda and all the reports being considered by the panel for this evening can be found on the council website under the licensing panel meetings page. So if you want to see them, that's where to look. I also want to make sure that all members have seen the agenda and reports. So, yes, Richard,
Yeah.
Tony, lovely.
Yeah, I have. There's a Charlie Hennessy waving at you.
There is. Sorry. Hello.
Hi.
I'm Charlie Hennessy. I'm the Licensing Enforcement Officer for the London Borough of Hounslow.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. I'd like to remind members of the need to hear all the evidence in each report we are considering tonight. This means you should listen to the whole debate. Please don't pop out to make tea or walk the dog. This is a legal requirement. If you should find you're having technical problems and need to log out of the meeting and come back in again, please let me know immediately, ideally beforehand, although I know how these things go and hopefully it won't be me that disappears at some point. But yes, quite often it's without warning. If not, let us know afterwards by turning on your microphone. That would be a permitted interruption. We can then decide how far we need to recap if that's necessary, or if the member needs to be excluded from the vote. Finally, I'd like to say to any member of the public listening or watching, thank you for joining us this evening. We hope that this meeting will go well, but any virtual meetings can suffer from unexpected technical hitches, so please bear with us. I should also like to clarify the meeting is being recorded and it will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel in the next few days. Contributors to the meeting are asked to remember that they will therefore be included in the recording of this public meeting. Thank you. We'll now move on to the first item of the agenda. Okay, so we now move on to the licensing application that's for decision at this meeting. The evening's application is an application for a variation of a premises licence in respect to the post office in Hounslow Heath Ward. Where we need to time contributions, I will ask the legal officer to alert me to when allocated timings have been reached. I will also ask her to alert me prior to the guillotine being reached if we have not concluded the meeting by that time. May I remind all members, officers and public speakers at this meeting to introduce themselves each time they speak, and also to turn off their microphones when they finish speaking. It's also important to speak slowly and clearly so that everyone can understand what you're saying. Finally, if you're making reference to any agenda documentation, please give the page and paragraph details. Okay, so we're looking at the licensing application for 434 Staines Road, a variation on that licence, and it will the applicants will get a chance to speak, and then any other people who have made a formal request to speak, having already submitted valid written representation. I think that will be Charlie Hennessy, and we will ask questions in between. So, do I need to read? Sorry.
You're on page 6, Chair.
I'm on page 6. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yes, so I need to go through the process for an application with speakers is as follows. Sorry. Stage 1, officer introduction and confirmation of facts. Officers to give their presentation on the application. The applicant will then be asked if they agree with the circumstances described in the officer's report. Stage 2, the police licensing authority and other body case. Once we have the agreed facts, we then invite any representatives from the licensing authority, the police or other responsible authority to speak about any submission for or against the application they've made, if they have chosen to submit a statement on this occasion. I should add that any officer representing the licensing authority at this stage will not be the one supporting the panel this evening, as this is kept entirely separate to ensure fairness.
Sorry about that.
Okay. There will then be a chance for everyone to ask questions of the relevant officers who have just spoken. I will then invite the applicants to speak for 5 minutes in total, and then answer questions from other parties. There will then be questions of the applicants. Okay, next we ask other persons to explain their submissions, and everyone will be given the chance to ask questions of them. They will have
any other person, any other persons.
You're right, thank you.
It's just the officer,
yes,
licensing officer, and the applicant, obviously.
Thank you. I will then invite all parties to sum up their positions, with the applicant being entitled to the last word, with their summing up being the last to take place. The panel will then leave the meeting to discuss the case and reach its decision. It will be joined by no one else except the legal officer, who is there to give advice about the law but will not be party to the decision. Once we've done that, we will return to this meeting to read out our decision on the application, and that will conclude the consideration of the item. So we therefore now begin the formal hearing on this case. I will start by inviting the licensing officer to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members are requested to determine an application for the variation of a premises licence in respect of Hounslow Heath Post Office, 434 Staines Road, Hounslow, having regard to representations received and the requirement to promote the 4 licensing objectives. The applicant is proposing to remove condition in Annex 2 of the premises licence, which is as follows. There shall be no sale of beer, lager or cider of 6% ABV or above, including specialist products from craft and microbreweries or limited editions / seasonal products, e.g. Christmas gift packages, subject to police and local authority discretion. The application has been properly made and all procedures correctly followed. The application has been attached as Appendix A. Premises are currently licensed for the following activities and hours. Supply of alcohol for consumption off the premises, Monday to Sunday, 6 to 23 hours, 100 hours. Hours open to the public are Monday to Sunday, 6 to 2300 hours. A copy of the current premises licence has been attached as Appendix B. The premises are situated in an area of mainly residential properties and some commercial. The appropriate ward and neighbouring ward councillors and responsible authorities have been consulted. Of those consultees identified in paragraph 6.2, there have been 2 relevant representations submitted by the police and licensing enforcement officer, both pointing out the condition in question within the Hounslow Council Licensing Policy 2020-25 and in request placed on new licenses within the cumulative impact area. It is pointed out that upon visiting the premises on the 13th of May 2021 by the licensing enforcement officer and his colleague, they were found to be in breach of the condition, for which written warning letter was sent on the 15th of May 2021. The designated premises supervisor was also found not to be involved in the day-to-day running of the business. However, I can confirm we did receive an application for the variation of the DPS on the 29th of June 2021, which was subsequently granted. The representations in full have been attached as Appendix C. Those making representations have been informed of the time and date of the licensing panel and has been informed of their right to attend. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I now ask the applicant if they agree the circumstances as described by the officers. And just to clarify, this isn't the time for you to put your own case. We just want you to confirm the facts of the case at this stage, please. You're on mute.
I do apologize. I'm sorry. I'm just explaining to her. Sorry.
Okay.
ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਆਈ ਸੀ ਦੇਖਣ ਡੀਪੀਐਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਡੈਜ਼ਿਗਨੇਟਡ ਉਹ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਤਾ ਐਪਲੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਪਾਈ ਸੀ ਆਪਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਹਨਾ
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪਾਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਾਤ ਪਾਈ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਰਿਨਿਊ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਸੀ
right, okay. Right, okay. This is Mrs. Cllr. My name is Talochan Singh.
Hello, good evening.
Okay. Good
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay, yes. Yes, when the officers did come in, they were in breach of the license, but they were ignorant of the license held at the premises, meaning that they did not know that they could not sell alcohol over 6 ABP and above. Because the license displayed at the premises.
You don't need to give your case right now. You'll have a chance to do shortly. At the moment, we're just confirming the facts of the case.
Sure.
Please. So, yes, so do you agree the facts at this stage?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we've had a representation from the police are not attending, but we've also had a representation from the licensing authority. And so I would like Charlie to present his position, please.
Yeah, sorry, hello, I'm Charlie Hennessy. I'm the Licensing Enforcement Officer who visited the premises on said date, on the 13th. So, would you like me to present my representation?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So what I've put in my representation is the applicant applying to vary the licence to remove the following condition from Annex 2 of the premises licence. The condition says there should be no sale of beer, lager or cider of 6% ABV or above, excluding specialist products from craft or microbreweries or limited additional seasonal products, e.g. Christmas gift packs, subject to police and local authority discretion. So what I've put my representation in is under public safety due to the premises being within the community impact area of Staines Road, Hounslow. So as I said, the condition is within the Hounslow Council licensing policy 20-25 and is applied to all new premises licence applications by the police and/or licensing authority, and especially those premises within the community impact zone. This condition is the only condition on the premises licence for Hounslow Heath Post Office to which they were found to be in breach of during a licensing inspection by myself and my colleague Barry Croft on the 13th of May 2021. So what I've said is please see the attached warning letter sent, which was hand delivered on the 15th of May 2021. What I will do is I'll read the warning letter which was hand delivered to the premises on the 15th of May. So what I've said, which was dated the 15th of May 2021, it's a written warning. On Thursday, the 13th of May 2021, licensing officers attended your premises at 434 Staines Road, Hounslow, following a complaint received that beers, lagers and ciders were being offered for sale by retail of 6% and above, therefore being a breach of the condition. Upon entering the premises, officers discovered 5 different branded beers, lagers and ciders on display with a refrigerated display unit opposite the main shop counter, all of which were 6% ABV and above. Having checked the licensing authority's records for the premises, the current premises license number H00323 dated the 8th of March 2019 has a condition attached Annex 2, which states there shall be no sale of beer, lager or cider of 6% ABV or above, excluding specialist products from craft or microbreweries or limited edition / seasonal products, example Christmas gift packs, subject to police and local authority discretion. By offering beer, lager and cider for sale by retail of 6% ABV and above, an offence has been committed under section 136 part 1A of the Licensing Act 2003. It is also our understanding that the current named designated premises supervisor, Mr. Bitu Singh Guwara, is no longer involved with the day-to-day running of the business. You are therefore advised to apply to vary the DPS at your earliest convenience. Having taken the opportunity to review the licensing authority records for these premises and considered evidence obtained during my visits on the premises on Thursday the 13th of May 2021, on this occasion the licensing authority does not propose to deal with this matter in a formal manner by prosecuting for the offence committed. However, the licensing authority is issuing this letter as a written warning for not operating the premises in accordance with authorisation given as detailed on the premises licence number H00323 dated the 8th of March 2019. A copy of this letter will remain on the licensing authority files, and a copy will be sent to the local Metropolitan Police Unit for their records. Please be advised that this letter may be used in evidence should the licensing authority or local Metropolitan Police licensing unit identify a further breach of licensing conditions in the future. Should you wish to discuss this matter further, please contact me at the above address. Kind regards, Charlie Hennessy. And therefore, what I further went on to say in my representation was a note about the designated premises supervisor was also not found to be involved in the day-to-day running. Therefore, I, the local authority, object to the removal of this condition.
Okay, thank you. We now have the opportunity to ask questions of the officer who's just spoken. I'll first ask members to do so, and then if anyone else has any questions, you will have a chance. Okay, so Richard, would you like to ask any questions of Mr. Harris?
Yeah, just well, one at the moment. The designated premises supervisor, we don't seem to have a name in the notes for that person. And is that person present today?
I do apologise. The names for the DPS at the current time of the inspection has been noted in the written warning letter, page 1, the second paragraph from the last.
Yeah, sorry. No, I'm talking about I'm assuming that in fact a new DPS has been appointed.
I do believe so. Yes, a variation has gone in.
I'm trying to.
Oh, sorry.
Whether or not they're present today.
Page 15, Mrs. Cllr, who is present, I believe.
And she's the DPS.
On the application form, yes.
So she's the new DPS. Okay. All right. Okay. So, right. In terms of the. No, I don't have any other questions at the moment, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Tony, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Charlie Hennessy, you visited the post office. How long after the tip-off did you visit the premises?
Well, I was quite newly appointed to the post at the beginning of May 2021, so I do believe the actual initial allegation was made at the sort of end of was April before I came in. However, my first weeks of being appointed to the enforcement officer, there was a couple of allegations made from various people.
When you say various people, well, you don't have to give their names. I wouldn't expect you to give their names, but were they customers, members of the public, other other license holders in the area?
It wasn't made aware as to who they were or what they were in relation to the premises. It was just made aware to myself and the licensing team that there was a breach of the condition.
Were they in a written form, or were they a phone call, or what?
They were all done by email, written form.
All right. When you went down there, who's Barry Croft?
Barry Croft is a licensing officer who's been drafted in. He's actually the ex-licensing officer from Richmond Council. He was drafted in as a COVID enforcement officer, but is now currently drafted to training me. Okay,
and he has licensing experience.
Many years.
Many years. Okay, many years. And you said that when you went there, when you inspected the premises, you went there obviously unannounced. Is that
correct? Yeah, we did. Myself and Barry, we was in the area, so we stopped by. Obviously, we first noted there was a sign advertising the sale, which I believe is still there, advertising the sale of Polish beer for 99p. So with that, we obviously entered the premises, introduced ourselves to a gentleman who's currently not here at the minute with us. Upon given our introductions, he was then able to contact Mrs. Cllr, who then attended the premises about 10 minutes after we arrived.
Okay, and this sign, Polish beer 99p, was that just a handwritten sign, or was that
it's on what you get as the milk delivery carts out the front, the quite large lettering which covers the entire side of the milk delivery carts.
Handwritten, was it, or was it?
No, I believe it's printed, typed and printed.
And when you went in to check the fridge, and to look at what was being sold, and how many beer? You said there were 5 beers that were above 6% ABV. Which beers were they, and what was the ABV for those beers?
So the ABVs, the beers that we spotted was Cllr.
Sorry, I'm going to write it down. So
yeah, sorry. One of the main beers which I spotted at first and to the top of my head was Cllr. I don't have a record on me at the minute of the specific ABVs for the various branded beers that were obviously witnessed within the visit. But they were noted to be all above, unfortunately, the 6% ABV.
Yeah, why don't you have the name of the beers? If you quoted 5, what you know? I know Polish beers. Which other ones?
I can if you'll bear with me, I can get them for you from my photographs.
Yeah, go on.
Which are right next to me. Give me 1 second.
For the record.
Sorry.
For the record.
For the records.
Please.
Sorry, I do apologise. Camera. Right, that was second inspection. So we currently have, there was 2 different brands of Cllr, which was I can't really see too well on my camera.
All right.
Which was yellow and green.
I know them. Yeah, I think the yellow one's honey. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we also have. Is it Zubr? Z-U-B-R.
Zubra.
Zubra.
Which is about 7 or 8. What's the ABV?
I believe, yeah, the Zubra was one of the strongest noted ones, which I believed was 7+.
Right.
Beneath was Taishki.
Yeah, well that's below 6, isn't it?
Is it? Sorry, I can't see from my pictures. I apologise. And yeah, so they were the ones on the first inspection in the refrigerator, as well as a large stock of supply in crates to the side.
Okay, and so you've only given me 3 names then. What are the other?
So I do have them. Give me just 1 moment. So we've got, is it Lech,
yeah.
Lech, and there was Zubr, Cllr, Lech. There was another one. Tishki and K cider.
K cider. All right. Oh, that's
sorry. I do apologise. K being the highest. K was 8%.
And that's not from Poland either, is it? That's just rather than.
No, it wasn't listed as to be a Polish beer. It was just a beer in general.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, but there are other. You said okay, and they were in the fridge. Some were in the fridge. Some were on the somewhere on the shelves, were they?
Yeah, just I mean, with amongst the other beers for sale on the in the refrigerators.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tony. Do you have any more questions, Richard?
When you were there, sorry, who were the persons present in the shop when you brought it to their notice? Was it the current DPS or the previous DPS? Or
no, when we first visited the premises on the 13th, there was just he just identified himself, unfortunately, as a worker. He wasn't listed on the license as such. And as I say, he was then able to contact Mrs. Cllr to come and join us for the inspection.
So Mrs. Cllr is now the DPS?
No, Mrs. Cllr is the license holder.
Is the license holder. Okay. So neither the license holder or the DPS was present there?
No, not when I first arrived, no.
No, okay. No, that's all for the moment, Chair.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry. I had it written down, but I didn't see it. Can I just ask Charlie Hennessy, when you or Mr. Crop raised this with Mrs. Cllr or other members of staff, what did they actually say when you said that when you pointed out that they're not adhering to their license?
It was made pretty obvious by Mrs. Cllr that she wasn't aware of the condition on her license. We did engage and have a good sort of 10 minutes discussion with regards to the license, to which we then obtained the information with regards to the current designated premises supervisor, who in turn wasn't found to be part of the day-to-day running. But as I say, Mrs. Cllr was able to hold her hands up, and unfortunately she did state that she was unaware, because what it is an inherited license. So what it is, she was unfortunately unaware of set conditions on license. Okay, and was she aware that that some of the beers were more than 6%, or was that new to her? No, I believe from the discussions, Mrs. Cllr was aware of the various ABVs that were being sold within the shop. She just wasn't aware that set ABVs weren't allowed to be sold. Okay, all right. And sorry, and one more thing. When you mentioned it to Mrs. Cllr, was she aware of the cumulative impact zone? Unfortunately not, no. I did state, hence the reason, because we went through a discussion as to why such a condition would be on the licence, and discussions went on to obviously state set problems within the area and it be falling within the current cumulative impact zone, which, as agreed by Mrs. Cllr, she was currently unaware that her premises fell within such a zone. All right, look, thank you very much. Sorry to have taken up the time, Chair.
Sorry, I was disconnected briefly there, so I missed your question and most of the answer.
My question was on whether Mrs. Cllr was aware of the of that condition, and also whether she was aware that the different brands of beer had different ABVs, and also whether she was aware that the premises were within the cumulative impact zone. And Charlie Hennessy explained that she wasn't aware she was in the cumulative impact zone. She was aware that different beers had different strengths, and that but she wasn't aware that there was a limit to the strengths that could be sold, strengths of beers that could be sold. Beers or ciders that could be sold. And I was satisfied with those responses.
Yeah, can I come back on a point raised by Charlie? You said that this was an inherited license.
Correct. Yes, it was.
When did the transfer of that license take place?
The license was granted to. Sorry, I've got it on my record here. I can tell you now. So the transfer and the variation was from the 8th of March 2019. I have records of the variation and transfer being received.
So that was the variation, right? Yeah. So that.
So it'd be the variation of set DPS and the transfer of the license to a new license holder.
Right. So it's but I mean those conditions were already in the license there.
Correct. Yes, I believe some of
the to cumulative impact.
Correct.
So
yes.
Oh, I mean, it's not a question for you really, but I'm just wondering whether the lady had legal advice on the license when doing this, taking over.
Unfortunately, I wasn't part of the licensing team.
I know, I realise that. No. Oh, okay.
Sorry, just to be clear, because my internet has been in and out. So Mrs. Cllr took over the licence in March, and what of the conditions?
That's March 2019.
2019.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So is that all the questions from the panel?
Yeah.
Lovely. So I don't know if Mrs. Cllr has any questions for Mr. Hennessy.
No,
No, I don't want to ask anything.
No questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, in which case, if nobody has any further questions, we can move on to the applicant. So the applicant can now make their submission. Can I ask them to state their name and address and give reasons for their application? Can I also remind you, you may only speak for a total of 5 minutes overall. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. I'm Mrs. Cllr. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Why I put the license application, because I want to remove my, the restriction which when they put it on my license. I don't know before why the previous holder, he didn't let me know. That's why the voluntary work he done that time. When we moved on this property, he didn't let us know, mention nothing. He didn't give no information what kind of thing we can do that, what kind of cider, beer we can sell it. But when the officer come to my shop that day, 13th of May, but that time I surprised by why I'm doing the big mistake. So when I told them, I don't know nothing at all that time, because I didn't receive any letter from them as well. When the name is transferred on other people's name, I didn't receive any other information. What kind of percentage we're gonna sell it, which one we can't sell it. That day when they come, they show me the beer, that kind of I can't sell it. Then I said, I'm sorry, I can remove that thing. Next time I'm gonna to sell this one. Then second time they come, then they said they said to me 6% above. That time I just checked that the 6%. I selling 6% and below. But some beer, one beer maybe. 6%. Then I move as well that one. Then I asked them, what can I do? They said to me, what you do, you can reply your application. Then you can get the license. Then you can remove the restriction. Then I can sell it. The advice they gave me, I apply for the license. the same people they're gonna do the refusing. I don't know why.
Did you understand all that? If you want me to
Yes.
repeat, I
Yeah.
can repeat.
No.
That's okay. Thank you.
They said, I'm going to try to help you. You apply the license, you can get the license, then you can go ahead.
Sell the beers.
But if the other people, public people, if they do the restriction, then I can see that with the public gonna do the restriction on my selling selling the beer. But the same people, which when they come, the officer come, they try to help me. But after that, I don't know what happened. They're gonna object me again.
Okay, thank you. Is that everything that you want to say?
If I don't know nothing before that, if the person telling me previous owner, if he let me know that he do the voluntary work before that.
Voluntary. Actually, what the previous owner did was he voluntarily surrendered his license, stating that he would not sell anything above 6 and 6%. But Mrs. Cllr was not informed by the previous owner, Mr. Surinder Benipal, that he has voluntarily surrendered his license.
No, that's not right.
No. I understand what you're trying to say, but he had a license, but there was a condition on it that
And
it
it's what
should
was
be.
transferred.
Yes, and that was then transferred to yourselves. So if that's all you have to say, can we we'll move on to questions.
Sorry, can I please just state one thing? The license, the premises license, which is displayed at 434 Staines Road, it does not have any restrictions on the license itself. We have sent the license to Nicola Harbour, the copy of that. On that license, it doesn't have any restrictions. So how she didn't know. If it was on the license, she would have.
Can I
And it
address
showed the
that,
officers
Chair?
as well.
Can I address that, Chair?
Please do.
Right. The license that's actually on display at the premises is the summary part of the license. There's also the premises license, which contains the conditions which that condition is on. So it's in two separate parts. The one display you have on the premises, and you should have the premises license somewhere safe for inspection by officers or the police. So it's two separate issues.
Right. Okay. That we do understand that. Right.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cllr is only the DPS, and the actual license holder is Isaac Kubi, and he's out of the country at the moment. She is just the manager of the post office.
Whoa.
But because he was
Question earlier, and I was told that Mrs. Kobe was the license holder.
no, Mrs. Cllr is not the license holder. Mr. Isaac.
That was told to me in the question I asked earlier.
I do apologize.
Yeah,
If you see the application, on the application it states the license holder is Mr. Isaac Kubi. You should have had that.
Sorry, Councillor Foote, that was a mistake on my end. I think I did misinform you of that. The licence holder is Crowned Eagle, who's registered as Isaac Kalubi. Mrs. Balraj Kaur Cllr is the registered DPS.
Right, that's what I was asking before.
Sorry, I do apologise. That was my mistake.
Okay, all right. So we now got that cleared up. All right, okay. Doesn't make any difference, but yeah.
Okay. Sorry. You're on mute, Mrs. Cllr, if you're still speaking.
Oh, sorry, we apologize. She was just stating that
the officer said I have advertised 99p, the Polish beer, some beers under the 6% as well.
where she misunderstood was rather than understanding that she cannot sell 6 and above, she thought anything above 6% she cannot sell. That was, she did not understand that. That's why when the second time they came, the officers came, they were asked, she was asked to remove those as well, which she did.
Sorry, what was the Polish beer at 99p? What's that?
Oh, it was a special offer, which is a Lech beer, which is at 5%.
Tyskie is 5% too. Yeah.
Tyskie is 5.2%.
And it's
And
99p
those were
for what quantity is that?
for one can, sir.
Sorry?
For one 500 ml can. That was a special offer we have on that, because just to bring the customers in.
99p, and it's 5%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, yes, moving on to questions.
Sorry, yeah, I jumped in.
It's okay. I'll first ask members to ask questions, and then if any officers from the licensing authority, and there are no other people. However, I'd like to remind everyone that legally you may only ask specific questions on the application. This is not a general discussion, and our legal advisor will intervene if questions are considered invalid under the Licensing Act. For example, we cannot consider issues, oh, we don't need to worry about car parking and stuff. We all know why we're here. So, Richard, would you like to ask?
Can I just, I'm a bit confused as to who the person was that told Mrs. Cllr that she could just apply for removal of these this clause on the license. Who was that? Who was that person that advised her to do that?
That was myself and Barry Croft on the date of inspection. Mrs. Cllr questioned, obviously, she questioned myself as to what options she has, as she stated that she makes quite a good sale with regards to the Polish high strength beer, to which I suggested, obviously, on the second arrival where I inspected, they still had the beers on display. I said, look, what we need to do from here is remove all the beers from the premises. And at that stage, if you feel that you would still like to obviously suit your customers' needs as such of a supplying a high strength beer, the only way around it was to apply for the removal of the variation. Okay, also, due to the fact the premises either side currently don't have same set condition.
Yeah.
So I think what we was querying earlier with regards to where this condition came about, it was a old licensing manager in 2014 who drove a plan for the local area, where I believe out of all premises within the borough, there was 43 that had signed up, the post office being one of them, to having this condition.
Yeah, there have been, of course, since then, all new license applications have had that clause in there.
Correct. And nowadays in our 2020 policy, we have a clause for 5.5%.
Yeah.
Which is applied, as said, to all new premises license applications.
Yeah. So, right. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm getting confused here. Who am I asking questions of? I think I'm asking questions of the applicant. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. But well, thanks for that information anyway. Thank you, Charlie. So I've got that 5%, but that is now the policy of the council since the new licensing applications 2020-25 came into effect. Yeah. I'm asking Charlie now, so just so.
Sorry, I do apologise. Yeah, that is correct. The policy as a 2020 to 2025, our standard condition to impose on all new premises license applications is nothing above 5.5.
Yeah, but of course we cannot retrospectively introduce items on a license unless it's up before us for review. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I just want to clarify that in our own minds. Okay, so right, I think the question I was asking was actually answered by Charlie, which was about who told you could remove. And I think I've covered the other things. That Polish beer at 99, oh, that was 5%. Yeah, we said 5%, didn't we? Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions I've got on Mrs. Cllr.
Thank you, Richard. So, Tony, Lukey, would you like to ask any questions?
Yeah, I'll ask a couple. So I'm just trying to understand. You've got the Mrs. Cllr's got the post office counter at Hounslow Heath Post Office. Is that your business there? But you also run the shop too.
Mrs. Cllr runs the shop part.
Okay. Who runs
the post office?
Who's in charge of the post office?
That is Mr. Kumar. That's a separate person.
Mr. Kumar is a separate person. Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Cllr or Mr. Kumar?
Kumar.
Okay.
Mr. Kumar
right.
and Mrs. Cllr.
Right. No. Sorry. I didn't catch the. I didn't catch the difference there. So okay. And then
she has nothing to do with the post office.
Nothing to do with the post office. And when you bought the shop, or you bought into the shop, Mrs. Coote, did you buy the shop or do you work for Mr. Isaac?
She works for Mr. Isaac.
For Crown Trading. So, but you're in a way you're here representing Mr. Isaac there.
Yeah, because he's out of the country.
He's out of the country, or he's at church or something, because he's got quite a few different companies, hasn't he? Operating out of Stanwell, I see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but any questions, any comments you're making are not yours. They're for they're for Crown Trading.
Crown Trading.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when Crown Trading Limited bought the company from Mr. Surinder, what was his surname? I can't remember. Sorry.
Berrypal.
Okay, Berrypal. He'd already maybe he sold you a pig in a poke, or he didn't explain the 6%. But do you understand? Do you understand? And does Mr. Isaac understand the policy of the London Borough of Hounslow with the cumulative impact zone that we have had running in the borough since around 2015? Does he understand that? Do you understand that?
We cannot answer that. We'll have to ask him.
Okay, you'll have to pass, but that's in a way that's the way it is.
Yes,
that's the way it is, and whilst you can continue selling beer up to, I think you're allowed to sell beer up to beer and cider up to 6%. Anything above that is not allowed as part of your because of your license. Would that make a big difference to your business, apart from the early morning or late night customers, coming home to have a drink down on the heath, maybe? So the transfer of March 2019 probably happened quite suddenly. I've got no more questions, to be honest, Chair. I mean, I think I understand this. I understand this fairly well. By now, I do, and I apologise. I see Chanel Core is here. What's she doing here? What's your role, Chanel? If you don't mind me asking.
Hi, I'm Chanel. I was present when Charlie Hennessy and I believe Barry Croft came to the premises, and I was just there to explain to my mother, who's Mrs. Balraj Cllr, that this is what's on the your premise. Like there's a a barrier where you can't be selling certain percentage. Obviously, I didn't have knowledge, she didn't have knowledge. We were actually taken aback, like we're not meant to be selling it. So I did advise her, like, yeah, we can't sell it. And like Charlie Hennessy said, when they did, when we asked, can we, change, what can we do to, rectify this? He let us know that we could, reapply or apply for a license. And so we did. But we did not know and had no knowledge of the restrictions, and once we were given the off license to kind of manage the shops, that's we just did as we were told like, yeah, you can run it. This is what you can sell. This is what I've been selling. So we just continued.
Okay,
We
sure.
didn't make any alterations.
I know, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, may I just say, just because a council officer says, you know, if you ask a question, you know, how can I change this? And the council officer says, well, you have to apply to change it. I mean, that'll be up to you to, that doesn't guarantee that a council
Of course, it doesn't guarantee, yeah.
It's like, you know, asking, you know, making an application for planning permission.
Permission,
you know.
Yeah, 100%. You know,
Okay.
It's an individual thing, yeah.
And it's a shame. It's a shame that you're. It's a shame, perhaps, that your mum. But then again, has your mum got a financial interest in this business? If you don't mind me asking, or is it just she's an employee of Crown Trading?
I think for her, it's more like she likes to serve the community and like that's my mom. She's always been like that for her, you know, and it is a community thing. She does like serving the community, making sure she's there for the community. And it is like a place for her to kind of socialize and talk to the local residents, to provide for them. And that's what it is mostly for my mother, I believe.
I understand.
She's there.
No, I understand. You know, I have shopkeepers in my family. I understand that. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, yeah. It sounds. It's a shame that perhaps you know, the previous owner hoodwinked the.
And that's what I believe. It was like a, you know, you know you have a restriction, you know you have a condition, and you didn't let her know. You know, you allowed her to believe that she is allowed to sell what she wishes and what she wants to provide for the community, what they ask for, and she has been. And it's like now it's like, okay, in a bit of trouble. Actually, you can't. You know, you find out by, you know, a surprise visit, and you find out no, you're not allowed to be selling.
Thanks for explaining.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I brought you in here unawares. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Chanel. Yeah, I just want to ask something about, you know, now that you're aware it's in a community cumulative impact zone. Is there any reason why you think you should still be able to sell these strong beers or anything? Do you, because basically with the cumulative impact zone, we will generally reject applications unless people have reason can show that it won't add to the cumulative impact of lots of shops selling strong alcohol. Is there anything else you want to sort of say about that now?
Yeah, I think Chanel can answer that
Okay.
better than us.
I think it's I think because generally speaking, where we are placed on the road, there is like a shop couple down, literally couple shops down, who's allowed to sell, you know, 6% and above. And it's more like we believe like everything around us is allowed. There isn't any trouble, particularly outside our shop or inside the shop. We've never had trouble. We've never had to call the police. And I think it's more like, okay, we want to provide for our customers. Like the whole reason, you know, we do promotions, we do say, you know, you can grab a 99p Polish beer, you know, it's more to like, so they can have everything that they want in one place. And it's like a community thing. So to provide, they ask for it, so we give them, you know, and it's that kind of like, I believe like maybe because if everybody around the area had that same condition, it will be leveled out in this retrospect, as in, okay, our customers ain't leaving us then and going somewhere else. They're staying with us and we can still, you know, operate the business and keep the business going and keep everybody happy, really. But that's the main reason I would give. It's not, you know, we're not here to disrupt or add problems to the community. We are here to serve the community and everything, if anything, you know, decrease the fact that there is violence. And it's more like, I would say the people that I've seen come in have been people that do have families and do like have like little gatherings for barbecues when it's the summer, and it's like, okay, we can grab something, we don't have to go to the pub across the street, it's something we can, it's more like I said, to serve the community. And I think it's the fact that everything around us is allowed 6% and above, and there is no huge impact with crime. Like there is no like huge crime in literally where we are, and we don't call police. We've never been involved with the police. So I think if it was like just a level playing field for all of us to run our business, it would be easier, instead of, you know, we're trying to, you know, take each other's customers, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Can I come back in there, Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused because I think, you know, it's a shame we don't have the owner of the premises there, because he should know what's on the licensing, but he should also know, and we expect our license holders in the borough to be aware of current licensing procedure. And we have the licensing procedure for the London Borough of Hounslow was updated earlier this year, where in fact we now have core hours involved in there. We have the situation regarding high value, you know, and core hours are specifically identified in areas like this. Now, we also have a problem with street drinkers, and we do have a problem with street drinkers in that area, and that comes from cheap beer usually. That's why I asked the question about 99p for a half pint of lager, a Polish lager. That's exactly the sort of beer that would be sold to street drinkers, added to which the early hours of opening on the premises also add to that problem. So these are absolutely conditions which we have seen contributing to street drinking. So that is also something that we need to take into account. Now, I'm concerned because, as I say, I understand Mrs. Cllr is now, but only recently, the DPS. Up until we found out that the existing DPS didn't have any, wasn't active, then she didn't have anything to do with the license. So we are in some difficulty, I think, and I think it's a bit unfair to her to have a situation where the actual license holder is not present, because I would expect the license holder to be fully aware of the current licensing conditions that prevail in the London Borough of Hounslow. Now, I'm assuming that Mrs. Cllr is not aware of these conditions that came out, as I say, earlier this year, which are listed and have been made available to all licensees as the London Borough of Hounslow Statement of Licensing Policy 2020-25, which includes the cumulative impact area, is on there. There's 30 pages in this document. There is also the situation covering core hours, which is a very poignant point in there about early morning openings, which are not encouraged in the new licensing applications. So that's something that we need to look at. So, as I say, I'm aware that Mrs. Cllr has been put in a spot on in regards to this, because the actual license holder has absented himself from these discussions. But at the same time, we cannot walk away from that fact. I think we also have to take into account that what may be the situation in licensed premises surrounding there, we cannot take into account. That is not part of our parcel. We're looking at these premises. What's happening in other premises in the area is because of the historic situation regarding licenses. You know, the fact that there are 3 off licenses in very close proximity only underlines problem with the cumulative impact area. That's exactly what we said is the problem. Too many places in too small an area. So these are problems, and these are ones which we are required to deal with this evening. So I don't know. Is my question really is, how aware of these situations is Mrs. Cllr?
If I could speak, I believe she is not aware, and the new licensing, that came out earlier this year, I believe she has no knowledge of what conditions have come out, and it has not been relayed to her. Like I said, she manages the shop. Everything that is, all the information that's given is given to the license holder, which is Isaac. She's obviously
she is the DPS, and as such, she is having taken that on board, she is liable under those conditions. She is the designated premises supervisor for the license, so she does have a responsibility. I'm not sure she's taken that on board.
Yeah, she has taken on board. After the visit, we have taken on board, where we are and what restrictions are in place and what's going on in the neighborhood. So she is aware now.
Okay, and so is the owner and the license holder, has he spoken to Ms. Cllr since the officers have been in and identified what the problem was there?
I have no idea. Mom, has Isaac spoken to you? Dad, did you get that?
I mean, who actually made the decision to apply for the removal of this clause? Was it the license holder?
That was my mum.
It wasn't the license holder who was involved in that?
No.
Okay. Okay, no. Well, I don't have any more questions, Chair.
Thank you, Richard. So, Mr. Hennessy, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I've no questions for the applicant. No.
Thank you. Okay, so we have no other submissions. I shall move on from that. Thank you. Does anyone have any final comments? Mr. Hennessy, do you have any final comments at all?
No final comments. Just for it to be noted, the applicant has worked with me from the moment we have made our first formal inspection of the premises. She's not been resistant at all to anything we've asked. Yeah, no final comments.
Lovely, thank you. And Mrs. Cllr, do you have any final comments? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I do apologize. I'm sorry. Yes, Mrs. Cllr and myself, we have ran an off license in the King's Cross area for 14 years. And before this new policy stating that 6% above should be sold, we voluntarily, she was the owner of that, and I was the runaround boy, and she took steps to limit the percentage of selling beers in the King's Cross area in 2008 to 2014, and then we sold the shop. And she's a very responsible person, but now because as Chanel has said, all three are selling around us. And another thing regarding early openings, I opened the shop at 6 o'clock, and because we are a news agent as well. We sell papers and a lot of oyster papers, and we top up gas and electricity, and majority of the people that come in the morning are workers going to work, picking up soft drinks and oysters, and the people coming who have run out of gas or electricity. And I'm sure if they want to check us, they can check us. They stand with us. That's the majority of the sale in the mornings. As Sharan said, it's a community. It's not what you call it, passing trade, and it's impacted because of this restriction. It has impacted on overall sales of our goods, and because I mean, we have seen a drop of nearly 30 to 35% of the sales regarding the restrictions, and Mr. Kubi's not happy and Mrs. Kula is not happy.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone for their helpful comments throughout the meeting so far. I would now like to invite our legal advisor to clarify the procedure for making the decision and what options are open to us as the licensing panel. Caniz,
thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. The panel will now retire and go into the deliberation room to consider the application and the representations which they've had today. The panel has the option to 1, grant the application, or 2, grant the application in part or in full, subject to standard conditions and with extra conditions, or alternatively, the panel can refuse the application. During the deliberation, only panel members will be present with myself. As the legal advisor, I will not take part in the decision making, but will be present to advise the panel only. Chair, usually we say that the deliberation would take about 15 minutes, but if it takes longer, this will be conveyed to everyone by our support team. Thank you.
Thank you, Caniz. So we're going to withdraw with the legal advisor to make our final decision. As Caniz has just said, we will let you know if it takes longer than 15 minutes. So I'll ask you, while we're in another room, as it were, if you could turn off your cameras and microphones while you're waiting, as the meeting will remain live and will be watched by the public. Okay, I'd also ask you not to leave the meeting so that you're ready for our return. But if anyone has to run off, thank you for your involvement. I now formally ask my fellow members and our legal advisor to leave the meeting and to join me in the withdrawing meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll see you in about 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're just waiting for Richard to come back. Give him a couple more minutes. Do we know what's happened to Richard? Does anyone know?
Let's get on with it. I would suggest, Chair, if that's okay. I mean,
Okay.
and if he pops in, I mean, people have been waiting a little while too.
Okay.
That's right, it's up to you. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Thanks everybody for waiting. All three members of the panel were present for the entire debate on the application before we came to our decision. And so our decision is that the application has been declined. I'm sorry, but so your conditions are as before, but we can't agree to strong alcohol. It's it's important that you know that if there is another breach, that there then could be a full review of your licence, and that could involve the full standard conditions being imposed that are now applicable within the whole restricted area. So that's something for you to think about. But on this occasion, yeah, we've declined the application. Sorry.
Sorry, you might want to add with regards to the right of appeal.
Oh yes, sorry, I thought you were going to do that.
I could assist you with this.
Sorry.
So as you've heard, the chair, she's confirmed that the panel has decided to reject your application. Any party aggrieved by the decision has the right to appeal to the Magistrates' Court. And usually the time limit for appealing against the decision is 21 days. You will receive notification of today's decision in writing within 5 working days. So that's 5 working days from tomorrow. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair, may I just add something, if that's okay?
Please do.
Okay. Look, thank you for chancing this. I mean, it is, you know, it's possibly worth doing. And I do note that you took the advice of officers who said that who advised you that yeah, when you ask the question, how do we change this? And you were told that, from what I gather, I might be wrong. I might have heard wrong, but you can apply for a review. I mean, since the license that you bought into was awarded, the policy has changed. In a way, if we could have, and we didn't want to, but one of the options for us was to reduce the limit, reduce the maximum strength down to 5.5%. We could have. But again, without discussion, we shouldn't have, and I didn't think it would have been fair to perhaps look at hours that you could, you know, further restricting the hours that you could sell alcohol. So what you know, what I would advise, as a councillor that does, yeah, as councillors that do want to support businesses, but I'm not going to say certain types of businesses, but obviously bear in mind what alcohol does to people and sustained alcohol does to people. I really would advise a good learning, whether it's from our officers or advice from an officer, proper advice from an officer or a consultant, really learn your license. You know, learn what you can do and what you can't do, because you know, as Councillor Smith said, yeah, it is possible that you know, even your current license could be in jeopardy if this if there are further misdemeanors. And also, you've got the other characters that around you that are selling alcohol. I don't know what hours they keep on their license, and if they I don't know what hours, you know, what strengths that they sell. But if you know, if they are selling alcohol to people that are already drunk, as you should be aware that if you are selling drink to people that are already intoxicated, that goes against your license too. I'm not saying that you do, but yeah, be aware of this, because in the same way as somebody grassed you up on the sales of your beer there, they could do it. You don't know who's going to report you. So it's best to stick to the agreement that you've got. And the license that you've got, and stick with that. And I'm sorry, because you seem like decent people, but it's just and I do understand the serving the community, and I do understand the newspapers and the Oyster cards and snacks and stuff on your way to work. Absolutely, but drink is a different thing these days, unfortunately, and it does have impact. And that's why we did introduce these policies, the cumulative impacts. In fact, the cumulative impact, started in my ward, along the London Road, Isleworth, where we do have a lot of off licenses, and we must we must consider that. But thank you for coming, sure. And thank you for chancing it as well.
Could I just say one thing?
That's up to the chair. Yeah.
You can very quickly.
Okay, right. Well, what it is, we open from 6 till 11 o'clock, but we do not open all those times. We open at 6 until 8 o'clock. That's our business hours. And around us, they are open from 7 till 10:30. So there you go. That's the opening hours around there. But as you say, if you have said that restricting the hours of selling alcohol, if it does affect the license, we can consider that. Yes, no problems.
Don't say that. Yeah, because you're going to restrict yourself more. Your previous owner restricted themselves, and you weren't happy with that. Don't start selling your selling your advantage. I mean, unless everybody else does, but we've lost, as I said, 30 to 35% of our customers because of the restrictions on. And well, let's see if the business, we can sustain the business for that long. Maybe you have to shut down next year, probably. Okay, thank you. Maybe you'll have to find other things to sell and other things to do with respect.
Of course, we have. Oh yeah, there's plenty of other things. But Shan, you want to say something?
Thank you very much, everyone. I think that concludes the meeting for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Cheers. Thank you.